Final Fantasy XVI.
This door only leads to more royalists.
Gamer Braves. What's up guys, it's One from Gamer Braves, and I got to go to Japan to check out Final Fantasy XVI. I know Final Fantasy typically held up as a JRPG series, but 16 is going in the bold character action direction. In fact, the whole purpose of this trip was to show off how good that character action works, and let me tell you, it was pretty great. Even better was on-site was producer Naoki Yoshida, as well as combat designer Ryota Suzuki, who I got to speak to and get some extra input on this. Now, you're going to hear me make a lot of comparisons to Devil May Cry 5, and there's a good reason for that. One, Devil May Cry games are very good. They're pretty much the gold standard of a character action game, and the fact that your game resembles anything similar to them means that it's probably going in the right direction. Secondly is that Suzuki-san himself also worked on Devil May Cry. The most obvious comparison to Devil May Cry that you're going to see is the icons themselves. So in this game, your main character Clive, he has the ability to switch between different icon abilities. The story reason was not explained to us, but you can think of these icons like styles in a Devil May Cry game. In fact, when you press circle, each icon has what they call the Eikonic Ability, and it's basically a style action. We don't know how many of these are actually in the game, but in the special media only build that we got to play, we had 3 to choose from: Phoenix, Garuda, and Titan. Phoenix has kind of a mobility magic based spell. Its iconic ability is called Phoenix Shift, and it's a forward dash that you can cancel with a melee attack or a magic attack, which are your ranged attacks in the game. Meanwhile, Garuda is way more to the fast kind of rush down playstyle. Her iconic ability is called Deadly Embrace, which, if you played a Devil May Cry game, is literally just snatch. It pulls enemies up with you if you're jumping or to you if you're on the ground. If the enemy is too big to be grabbed, then instead you come to it. The point is, you will be in range of Garuda's attacks. The third icon is Titan, or as I like to call him, Best Boy. He is a big, tanky bruiser, and his skills will reflect that. Each of these icons also has equipable special moves, and all of Titan's are some form of big punch. But that's not what his iconic ability is. His iconic ability is a parry. You thought big damage was bad enough. Now imagine big damage from a guy who also has Royal Guard. Speaking of Royal Guard, it does function very similarly to Royal Guard, where you can hold it to block for longer, but you're better off trying to get the perfect parries in. Also, if your enemy is doing multiple attacks, you will need to parry every single hit of that attack before you can do the follow-ups, because you are not safe. What I like about the iconic abilities is that individually they're not that great. A huge chunk of the gameplay is knowing to switch between them, which you can do pretty freely. Like I said, it's kind of like a Devil May Cry game where you can switch your active icon mid-combo depending on what the situation tells. Considering the fact that it goes in a pattern based on how they're equipped, so it's like Phoenix, Garuda, then Titan, and you can't go backwards, the fact that I found myself always able to switch between them and get to the exact one I needed tells you about how fast they were going. Later on in the demo, we also get to fight Garuda herself, who is a huge monster, and once you break her guard, guess what? You learn the old adage, that which can be snatched can be busted. It's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend playing around with it. Also, another note on the Deadly Embrace is that itself does not do any damage. However, if you happen to buy one of Clive's innate skills, which is called Stomp, you can pull a dude up in the air, hit him with your air combo, and then jump to keep the combo going. You basically reset the combo in a thing known in action communities as jump cancelling. That's right, you can do jump cancel loops in this game. It's pretty much my benchmark for, is your character action game good? Because the best ones do include some sort of highly skilled maneuver like this to make sure that, hey, you people who live and breathe combo, you have something to do, right? Unfortunately, even if you buy the mastery skill, which we'll explain a bit later, you will only ever get 2 loops of this. This means that you won't really be able to extend that far like you would in a Devil May Cry game. Unless... Enter Torgal the Combo Dog. He is a big part of Clive's moveset, and you can use the D-pad to give him commands which he will operate. He's also the only member of the party that you can control fully. So one of his 3 moves is called Maul, which keeps enemies in the air and will happen independently of what Clive is doing. So if you didn't have Stomp, or if you were out of stomps, you could let yourself fall, while TORGAL continues to combo your enemies in the air and then reset whatever you need to do. Unfortunately, I can't take credit for the antics of TORGAL the combo dog. This was actually suggested by Yoshida himself, who said that you should try that if you wanted to do more air combos. Speaking of Clive himself and his moveset, I do have some sad news to report. One of the things that I always look for in any action game is the existence of the delay combo. You know, instead of doing bop 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 bop, you do bop 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 bop. In Devil May Cry games, this is where most character depth comes from, since you only have one melee button. However, in my chat with Ryota Suzuki, he unfortunately confirmed to me that there are no delay combos in Final Fantasy XVI. Instead, he says what they want you to do is to be able to use all of Clive's tools. One more note about TORGAL is that he will always be by your side, at least for most of the game, because like I said, he is an extension of Clive's moveset. Remember, sexy British men may leave you, but Combo Dog is eternal. Now, after that whole incoherent mess about how the combos work, I should actually talk a bit about how upgrades work in this game. Basically, during the demo, at any point we could open the menu and buy skills using points that we accrued from styling on enemies. These points can be spent either buying new skills, like the new cooldown skills for your icons, or upgrading the ones you already have. For example, Titan had a third ability that you could buy, and it's basically an armored rush punch. You could then buy it and then replace one of the two skills you already had with that. Going off of this example, the rush punch has 1 hit of armor, and when you upgrade it, the amount of damage it does if it armors through an opponent's attack will increase. However, every move also comes with one extra thing, which is called mastery. Now, Clive's normal moves all have different mastery effects. For example, the jump cancel is a second jump, which is really convenient for those of you who like styling on things. But the icon abilities all have the same mastery, which is that they can be equipped to other icons. So remember that rush punch that Titan has? You can now equip it on Phoenix. Garuda's Fade Slash can also now be equipped on Phoenix as well. Why am I equipping it all to Phoenix? It's because I don't particularly like Phoenix. I'm sorry. It's a more magic-based gameplay thing. Even its defensive skill is about stopping projectiles. It's kind of just there. I know he's story important and whatever, but come on! Titan lets you aura things and Royal God. It's the best boy. All that aside, basically what my point about the combat in Final Fantasy XVI is that you can just play around with things so much. And yet somehow my gripe is that it could use a little bit more sauce. So Clive has special moves as well, like he has a stinger or a helm splitter, entirely dependent on whether he's jumping or grounded. It's the same move that you buy. But he is noticeably missing a launcher. Even the moves that look like they might be launchers, like Phoenix's uppercut, don't actually throw enemies into the air. Like, it's not the end of the world, but it's like you could have committed more to the character action bit. That being said, this is supposed to be a very early on in the game. For all you know, you could unlock a style by Bahamut or something, and Bahamut is apparently also the dragon god of air combos. I'm happy to be proven wrong. This is just a very minor gripe that unfortunately some poor staff at Square Enix had to listen to me prattle on about. Sorry, buddy. Of course, if you are like me and had a limited time and a limited demo build experience, you may not have had time to actually try out how far the combo machine goes. You're fighting enemies, not training dummies. They can counterattack, and more importantly, they can die before you finish your juggle. However, that's not going to be the case for you, the player, when Final Fantasy XVI comes out. In my chats with Suzuki-san, he did confirm that yes, the game will totally have a training mode, and it will totally even let you select different enemies to combo on. Think of it like the Void in Devil May Cry. You will be able to practice this because, again, doing combos is just fun. He also mentioned that the ability to style is very much an inherent part of Final Fantasy XVI. The game has a stagger mechanic very similar to Final Fantasy Origin, where certain enemies will have yellow bars under the health bar and attacks will fill it up. Once it fills up, the enemy staggers and you can do whatever you want to it. The best part is, once the stagger timer runs out and returns back, the game even reports to you how much damage you did. It's like a style adjudicator but with a wife and kids. It's great. Of course, if you're a Final Fantasy fan watching this video hoping that there was some way to make it more like the Final Fantasy you remember, the answer is yesn't. While there's no way to turn it into a turn-based mode like there was in 7 Remake, there are ways to make it less intense. The game's gear system gives you 3 ring slots, and some of the items you can get in this game are rings that remove some of the more complicated parts of the game. There's a ring for self-healing, there's a ring for piloting TORGAL, and there's also rings for dodging. One of them auto-dodges, whereas one of them slows down time to let you press the dodge as a QTE instead. Even if you were trying to learn the game like a character action game, I actually kind of recommend the dodge ring. Not because you can dodge with the QTE, but because the dodge timing is the exact same as the parry timing. So guess what? You now have training wheels to teach you how to use the Titan parry. As for your party members in the game, you don't really have to worry about them. Yoshida told us in an interview that they are designed to never really steal the spotlight from you. You don't have to worry about them jumping in and stealing your kills or whatever, since they'll usually just back off and watch you style on things or fight enemies that are not currently in your focus. As someone who's not really into JRPGs, Final Fantasy XVI has really got its hooks in me. It's got a very approachably low skill floor and a tantalizingly high skill ceiling. Sure, the movesets may not be as robust as some other character action games, but it's still a lot more than it needed, and I'm really grateful for that because, like I said, just the ability to find new enemies and new moves to do combos on is gonna be a lot of fun. It still has a little bit of that JRPG charm in it. Yoshida confirmed to us there will be things like, side quests, all of that good stuff. Even the content that I got to play was just so much fun. Like, I kid you not. I was at the Square Enix office just replaying the demo over and over again, seeing if I could perfect parry all of Benedicta's attacks. Sweet Benedicta. Anyways, this has been Juan Emerald from Game Braves, and I'm very excited for Final Fantasy XVI, and I hope you are too. If you are a character action fan who was thinking like, might this be too good to be true? I've been burned too many times before by the Final Fantasy that says it's going to be action game and it turns out to be turn-based, cough lightning returns. This is your sign. This is me telling you, no, this thing is a character action game first, and you should totally check it out. Thank you so much for watching our videos. Don't forget to give us a subscribe if you'd like to see more, and like so we know what kind of content you want to see. Got suggestions for new content? Let us know in the comments below too. Thank you so much again for watching. Take care, dudes.